Very thorough in my review, except for that last point. Okay.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Wednesday, time to do the thing that we do. We got a show for you this week, episode 426. We're going to be talking about the latest frameworks, the Elite Desk Mini, my thoughts on that, and graphic design on Debian. It's possible, you just got to make some modifications. I'll tell you about it. Stick around. How's everybody doing? Middle of the week. Here we are,
Yay.
ready to do the thing, and the thing must get done. All right, let me get that put together. Hey, everybody. How are we doing? Talking a little bit in the pre-show about Jitsi servers, looking up some prices for these new Elite Desk. Always talking about Wayland. I've been back and forwards negotiating with a pawn shop in Tennessee. That's been what I've been up to the past 2 days. Have to get on the phone with this guy too, which is frustrating. He don't text. A musician friend of mine, they were doing some tour dates up in Gatlinburg, I think it was. And they do what musicians do when they're in town before the show starts. They go around to all the pawn shops and stuff like that, and they know what I'm looking for. And guy ran across a control surface, and he's took a picture, and he's like, "It's broken, do you want it?" And I'm like, "What's wrong with it?" So I've been talking back and forth. It's a really good price. The guy's trying to get rid of it, but he thinks he can get more for it, and I know he can't, because trying to get parts for this thing requires negotiating with the company and having the company negotiate with their vendor, then to their supplier, then maybe you'll get your stuff from Hong Kong in a few months.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no one even knows how to get parts. I just happen to know how to get parts for this thing, and I was like, it'll be an okay video, but dude, the more he keeps bugging me, he wants $99 for it, which is, you know what, it's not bad considering it's $500 new, but the more he's hassling me, I'm like, dude, I don't know. Scott, what's going on? The trolley problem? Why are we talking about the trolley problem, man? We've been live for 2 minutes and Scott's already got the trolley problem going down in chat. Parent Diggum. 5 people, but you need to make a phone call. I don't mind making phone calls, man. They just gotta be worthwhile. In 2024, when you think about phone calls, right? Phone calls are for serious stuff. And I don't care, because I know somebody's going to bring up well, that one person who always makes a phone call and they want to talk. They don't want to text. And I'm like, you know what? I don't talk to that person anymore. I don't. I have people in my life that were 100% like that. They're like, well, I don't text. I'm like, well, we don't communicate then, because this is the future. I don't have to stop what I'm doing and carry around a phone and talk with you. And that's the way I conduct business these days. Except with this guy. And I'm just about done talking on the phone with him. It's too much of a hassle. Steve, do you talk on the phone all the time, or are you a texter now? How do you roll?
No, he's only uses the phone usually for his family, like me. Hi, Mir. Hi, Steve Husband. Hi, Scoots.
Half and
Hi,
half.
Theron.
All right. Half and half's not too bad. You getting there?
Yeah. Yeah. He's been adopting the texting and using Discord much more these days.
Smoke signals, just going back to writing letters,
That's funny,
man.
Mir.
It's 100% just a time thing. You'll get a better reply from me than if you stop me from what I'm doing, and I'm like, what? Especially if you got a question. I'm like, yeah, I was in the middle of doing something. What do you want? Versus oh, look, they got a question. I'll get around to that in a minute. Completely different attitude.
Yeah, but more vape signals now. Yes. That's
Gotta blow those mad clouds.
Yeah.
All right, so I got everything together. We got Twitch things going. We got that punched out. Let me go bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye. Closing tabs like a madman. You got to stay on top of your tabs, kids. Tabs are not bookmarks if you're not using them. Now, one thing I like about the latest Chrome beta Does Vivaldi do this or not? I want to say Vivaldi might do this too. If you mouse over any open tab, it'll tell you how much memory each tab is using.
Oh, yeah. That is an option. Yeah.
I don't know if that shows up. Oh, yeah, it does show up. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
132 megs. Pull up a forum. Come on, are we going to get the mouse over? Give me a mouse over. There we go. 140 for that. Yeah, it's kind of, you gotta think 140 megabytes for a website.
I know, a website. Yeah, it used to be you had to turn that on in Vivaldi, and now it's just auto magic.
I don't know. It seems like I'd seen it in Vivaldi. I'm not 100% on it. I know it's been in the Chrome beta releases for a while now, and I'm like, it's not really handy, but it's nice to know, right? Just out of curiosity, I'm like, how much is this taking up? Coming from remembering like hard caps on websites. Like you didn't want to be over 100K. And it's not the website. I'm sure the website's only a couple of megabytes, but still, that's ridiculous. 2 PDFs. You know what? I'm a huge fan of PDFs and browsers. I love that browsers open PDFs now. Mm-hmm. Just right in the browser. It's
so nice. Yeah, and in Firefox, you can even edit them.
All right. I think we're going to go ahead and hop into it.
Okay, I will be right back.
Cool. And we'll get this together. Yeah. Everything's looking good. Everything's coming up in Millhouse, man. We got the new Jitsi server working, so hopefully that won't explode. Jill will be in slightly higher defs, which is always going to be fun. Yeah, I couldn't tell you the last time I had to edit a PDF, fortunately. I'm going to put that down to like good life decisions. I remember trying to find programs on Linux to edit PDFs, man, like in the early 2000s. I think on like Fox Reader or something like that. JavaScript tutorial used one to... yeah. Websites are crazy these days. I mean, they're not even websites anymore. We don't have websites anymore. We just get little miniature applications. It's always something like that, man. You don't really run into it too much. I think more on mobile, right? When you're browsing on your mobile device and you hit a website and you're like, wow, chug it. Jeez. Especially if you have a reasonably powerful ARM device. Website, it just kneecap it. And I start thinking about how much power I have to throw at it. With like x86, you never really think about it unless like maybe you got like htop open or something like that and you're just like going to like Slashdot or wherever and you watch just like how much CPU usage on how many threads it starts hitting to render a website. That's wild. Anyway. Yeah. I guess everything's going to be coming in over the web. That's part of our future. Our future features. Don't worry. Windows 11 will save us, right? What was that thing I posted earlier this week? Somebody's already set up a system to just snapshot everything with that new Windows ICU feature. Microsoft, oh, completely secure. You can never do anything. Like, watch this. That's going to be such an S show, isn't it? It's going to be the gift that keeps on giving. And the average person is going to have no idea that it's there. Then they're going to replace Clippy. It's going to be a belligerent alcoholic version of Clippy. We're going to call him Sippy. And he's going to show up. And he's going to berate you for not having it enabled. Trying to remember the name of the demo. I downloaded a really good 2D Metroidvania. I don't know exactly how I want to put this. I'm sure everybody's got their own thoughts on it. It's a lot like Hollow Knight, but it's almost too much like Hollow Knight to the point where you feel a little dirty playing it. And you're like, this is a little too inspired, but it's close enough to where it feels right. I don't know. That's a weird genre. Not even genre. That's a weird thing that happens with games when it's just like too close to that game that you like, but you're definitely looking for more of that game that you like.
Yeah.
It just gives you like, you're like, you guys are like leaning into this like just a little too hard to call this like an original work. You know, it almost feels like we've replaced the sprites and added a new story. I don't know. We'll find out. What else we got? We got that. We got that. Computex, right? Is that what's going on right now, Joe?
Yep.
Computex.
Sure is.
Where's that in?
Tons of video.
Taipei, Taiwan.
Forthcoming. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I think it's such a huge task. A lot of the vloggers are kind of slow at getting their videos out. But it's understandable. I've been watching Paul's Hardware and Bitwit and everything. And last year they started probably several days beforehand already producing videos. And this year they didn't until later. But that's okay. I don't care.
Yeah, I tried watching.
They have good coverage.
Some of the keynotes. I watched a little bit of the keynote for the, just NVIDIA to see what they were up to.
Yeah, it was all AI. Yeah.
Why is this so long? Why is it so long? Like, I stopped watching it and I came back. I mean, I left it on, but I wasn't watching it directly. And I came back and Jensen was still on stage doing his thing. I'm like, is this a repeat? And I was like, no, it is like 2 hours long.
Yeah.
Apparently I didn't miss anything. They didn't really cover anything. They're open sourcing like one of their RTX creation kit. I still got it. You know what? I'm going to make a note right now for Saturday to go actually like look and see what's going on. RTX source thingy. There we go. That's exactly what I typed in.
RTX thingy.
RTX source thingy.
Yeah.
That's how notes work in my head. That'll trigger me when I go back and look at the show notes for Linux Gamecast later this week. I'll be like, right, go look that thing up.
Yeah, I didn't watch Jensen's. I just saw some of the coverage after, but I did watch Lisa Sue's.
Yeah, AMD had a bunch of
Yeah, good stuff.
announcements. They're doing like a little bit of a clock bumps and stuff like that. I think we're getting some more AM4
Yes, we are.
CPUs, which is wild. Oh, that's a crazy time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Pretty much get everything. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they got any like gaming. We did anything with gaming. Like NVIDIA don't care about gaming right now. It's gonna be a long time before we see any gaming information. It's all about AI because, some engineers and scientists figured out how to make a machine say dumb and inaccurate things, and everyone's in a hurry to shove that into their product. Like, it's the next, it's the craze thing, If we go back 2 years, like what was it? I don't even remember what it was.
Oh gosh. Well, with when Google I/O, started big, it was all about API integration. That was the thing. Everything was connected.
Yeah, yeah, Mira, I think you're right. It was like crypto was the last buzz, and like before that, what Jill said, that like the Internet of Things, right? The IoT was the thing before that. Like, there's always like the thing to get buzzed and hyped about, and I'm just like, nah.
I'm just happy 3D TVs aren't around anymore.
Right?
Oh yeah, self-driving cars.
Autonomous level 5. One day, if we just get all these dumb humans off the road. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like Waymo's got some deployments. Like, out in Flagstaff, I think it is. Like, you can just get a ride share with nobody in the car. Just hop in, takes you.
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't bother me a bit. I'd be having a great time with that.
Yeah.
All right. And then there was the Intel thing, but I didn't see anything. I saw the clip of Tom Peterson being a big cussy mouth on stage. He was using language unbecoming of this show.
Oh. I didn't see that.
It was funny. I forget what he dropped. It was like an S-bomb or an F-bomb or something like that. But I mean, it was clearly in the script, you know, it was done. He didn't do it like
intentionally.
Yeah, he didn't do it like out of anger or anything. He did it to make a point for effect. But we'll see. We'll see. Hope springs eternal. Always new gadgets to play with, all new things to transmogrify and to fiddle with. The what was it? I think Gamers Nexus did the CAN bus for the RAM. I don't know if it was like MSI or Asus.
Oh yeah. They have more they're showing off at this show. You remember we talked about it last year.
I forget
CAN
who was doing,
module.
like they were putting it on like their laptops, right?
Yeah.
Oh, like CAN bus on motherboard, like it's cool. But you got to make sure that, you know, you get as much memory as you need when you need it the first time, because there's no like, oh, I'm going to get 8 gigs now and I'll throw in 2. No, you won't. You're going to buy a whole new module to stick on there. What's the Intel effect on people, Scott? I'm curious. Let me know. I always look at Intel like Intel's is going to do Intel stuff. Like Microsoft, right? Microsoft is going to do Microsoft type stuff.
Yeah.
I don't say that in a good way. I just wait for it. Eternal Spring, you should, Steve. You should productize Eternal Springs.
What that model would look like. A model of a spring, not a spring as in a wire spring, but a spring as in water. Eternal. I don't know. It's inside something. That's internal, but you could make a joke on that. Yeah, monolith action figure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's looking good.
Yay.
There's still a bunch of things to play around with Jitsi. I broke that poor Jitsi server so many times yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Just, I mean, my way of, so much of that stuff is not documented. Their idea of documentation is like you go into the docs and they're like, yes, this flag exists. Shrug emoji. Like, oh, okay. And what do you got to do? You're like, well, what does that do? Let's uncomment. Oh, that makes it not work. Okay. But then there's like, sometimes you'll run into things like, well, I need that to work. Oh, then you got to like track back, like, what are the other things? Jitsi is the one application. Last Thursday when I started setting this stuff up, I took all of Thursday off just to play around with it because I knew no other software in my experience has been outside of Jitsi is upgrading that piece of software is like there's a 2 in 3 chance that it will completely break your existing setup and it's your fault somehow.
Yeah.
You're like, okay.
That huge config goes on for pages.
But they like to move stuff around too, and they're slowly like moving stuff into the it's kind of a main config file they have for each site configured, and it's just a bunch of spaghetti lua. It's commented reasonably enough, but it does get confusing because there's a depreciated feature sets inside the config file. Some of them still work. Some of them don't work now. And like, that's the stuff that you got to run into. Like certain things as you had said, that relied on other things, and it's working. That's where we're at right now. It's working. All right. And we got the VP9s. I got the option for AV1 too, but I don't have anything here to outside of that Intel card. That'd be great. We could try AV1 encode decode if you wanted to hear like just running in the background constantly. All right. Well, I think everything's going to hold up. I'm not seeing any blips or bloops.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's clean here.
Run it in. Nothing's really, I mean, you got to go through that like login thing. You know, like when you like went to the URL, you got to punch a name in. That's the one difference that Jill encountered.
So I have to do that each time now?
Yes. Okay. That's just part of it, and if I disable that, it doesn't work.
Oh, I see. Okay, no biggie. I just have it saved.
Do I have is there a reason for that? I don't know. Like that's an option in the config file. It's called like the pre-setup.
Yeah.
Oh, it's there. Like if you go to a Jitsi and you set it up and you're like, oh, pick your username and make sure everything's working. And I'm like, we already know that. And traditionally with Jitsi, you just go to URL and like I have it locked down. So you got to have an account to get onto the Jitsi server and put in your password and you're good to go. This is like the pre-screen thing. But if I take that off,
and it don't work.
It don't work at all. Why? Don't know. Is there error logs? That would be way easier to sort. Because no, I mean, it's just it's an adventure each time. That's why once you get a Jitsi instance, you image it, or if you you put that thing in a container, be it Podman or Docker, lock it down and back it up. Unless you do it on a Raspberry Pi, then whatever. Right. There we go. Go in about a minute here. That's good. Everything's looking good. Everything's sounding good.
Yay.
I really need to go to the grocery store, everybody.
Oh, you've been putting it off.
I've been putting it off. I should have went yesterday. I'm running low on mustard.
Ah.
How you can have a meal without mustard.
Yeah, I say I can't stand mustard.
Love mustard. I love vinegar.
Yeah.
Mustard,
actually,
hot sauce.
except for I don't mind it like when it's mixed really nicely with another sauce. As long as it's light. I just don't like it strong. But I don't mind it light. Like I like mustard flavoring on like chips and that kind of thing.
Okay.
Where it has a little zesty to it. I like that.
Yeah, if I'm eating like fries or anything like that, that's like mustard is my primary condiment for anything.
Okay.
Yellow mustard, brown mustard, and I got a bunch of different types of mustard. Or I'm happy with just like regular white vinegar. I'm fine too with.
Yeah, I like white vinegar chips. Yummy. Or just vinegar.
Cool. I think we can get going. I saw Pedro post a video about the cheapest OLED. I'm surprised that the cheapest OLED that you can get these days is still like $300, man. Like that's expensive for a little monitor, isn't it?
I'm sorry, Ven, what was it for?
What was what for?
Your last sentence about something about the price of a monitor.
Yeah, Pedro posted a video about the cheapest OLED monitor in Discord.
Oh, the cheapest OLED, yeah.
Which was still like $300.
Yeah.
Which seems ridiculous. I can get a lot of monitor for $300.
I know. I have a 24-inch HP OLED. It was one of the early ones. I spent quite a bit on it. It is a beautiful monitor, but
OLED
it's just
looks
too small.
Nice.
So,
You know, Joe's got that unhinged, like 48-inch ultra turbo wide OLED
it's
gaming
the
monitor.
40, yeah.
And like they look nice, but I'm like, they don't look that nice. You know, for the price.
For the price, yeah.
Like I'm okay with my IPS and my TN pedals for now. Yeah, mustard is a pretty simple recipe. Mustard seed. Done. Ta-da! We got mustard. Smashed up. Add some liquid. Maybe it was more advanced. Maybe you were looking for like tactical assault mustard. All right, we got that, and we got MA. That's right, everybody. I'm stalling a little bit just to make sure the bridge and everything was working right.
Yeah.
Like crazy hiccups. It looks like everything's going to be nice and copacetic. I always worry about fat fingering a config, though.
Yeah.
Which I do. Then you got to go find out where. Always keep notes. And I don't keep notes very well. Because I've gotten better about this in the older I've gotten. I think we all do. Maybe it's part of like just maturing, like when you're doing, when you're plowing into a problem, be it a config file or a setup or something like that, you eventually get to the point where you're just changing stuff to see if you can get a reaction to generate another problem that you can find your way back. And which will always happen is you'll flip a switch at some point and it'll start working. But there's this trail of other switches that you flip to get there that you didn't write down or keep track of. And you're like, which one of those made it work?
I've been an obsessive note taker since I've been a little kid. So every project I do, I have notes. I think it drives Steven up the wall because he's a little better about taking notes now, but yeah, he relies on me.
Documentation and like active live development, which I know a lot of my brothers and sisters listen to me right now. Like, you ain't got time to take notes. He's got to get it done right then. But
well, then you go back and write stuff down.
Hopefully you remember. This is the problem. You got to keep it all in your headspace. You're like, ooh.
Yeah, I have Steven's documentation.
OBS record? Yeah, that's one way to do it, Scott. Like, everybody's got like their own little tricks. You know, you got to get in that habit of make this change, because it'll run away from you real quick. You make one change, two change. Oh, I can keep that. You can keep that in the volatile memory RAM in your brain mates, but eventually that stack gets to the point where, you know, squirrel poof, it's gone. You're like, oh no, oh no. Then you got to decipher how you get to there. Yes. All right. Are we ready, Joe Brian?
Yes, we are.
Get a little coolant. All right. Let me get a recording going. Press the big red button.
Hello, Cassiclism.
Manage your config as code. Yeah. Everybody's got their own stacks, man. Like, you got to do what works for you. All right. And there we go. I need to rename this song. All right. Here we go, everybody. Buckle up. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Linux Weekly, Daily Wednesdays, where we sit back, relax, take that midweek break, talk about some of the fun things going on in the world of Linux and open source. I'm Vin. That's Joe. We're just talking to the pre-show about how do we keep our notes in order when you're on that long project of trying to fix something. And, you know, well, admittedly, some of us, myself included, we forget to take notes sometimes, and you end up having to do double work trying to figure out what was that one thing that you fixed in that chain that made it work. But we got a pretty nice little show for you today. We're going to be talking about the Framework 13 updates. I got the Elite Desk write-up done. And of course, trying to use a tablet for doing the graphic drawings on Wayland. There might be a problem with it. But Before we get into that, we like to play a little bit of catch up. Not mustard in Jill's case. Jill's not a fan. Only ketchup.
No.
Mustard doesn't have enough sugar in it, is my suspicion of what's going on, what's new in your life, Jill. What do you got going on over there in Los Angeles?
Aw. Well, I've actually been enjoying the coverage from Computex 2024, which is in Taipei, Taiwan this week. And it's the biggest computing event of the year. It's just gotten huge over the years. For us computer nerds, there's more stuff there than for CES for us. That's where the innovation in computers, where you hear about it and where you see it. And I had fun watching AMD's keynote by AMD CEO Dr. Lisa Su, who's one of my heroes. And she kicked off the event Sunday evening. And she unveiled the new AMD Ryzen 9 9950X processor, which is the world's fastest consumer desktop processor, featuring 16 CPU cores and a speedy 5.7 gigahertz maximum boost frequency. It was pretty sweet. I want to get my hands on one of those soon.
Should be a fun time. I mean, it's always fun to watch, with the time thing. I have had an opportunity to catch a lot more of that show. I think a lot of people, because I'm up at 2:00 in the morning.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that does help.
Yeah, I see the live streams pop on. I tried to watch a little bit about NVIDIA thing, and I'm like, man, yeah. I'm AI'd out. I am so AI'd out.
I know.
That's
lots of AI. Yeah,
one of the reasons we will not be covering the Raspberry Pi AI hat that was released this week. I'm like, I'm sorry, Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
I don't care, man. Have fun.
I know, we're all burnt out. I mean, AMD had a lot of, obviously it was focused on AI as well.
Like their chips have like AI. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
All right, fine.
But you know what's different is Lisa Su, she does such a good job at explaining it. So even someone who is a layman watching it, who doesn't understand, can, understand some of it. She's just very good about that.
Yeah, you can be an excellent salesman. It's still AI at the end of the day. Like, whatever. It's marketing
Yes.
buzzword. I saw that floating around on social media. It's like a bunch of engineers and scientists have trained computers to come up with wildly inaccurate guesswork, and everyone's rushing to push that into their own product. And I'm like, that's kind of where we're at right now with it. Except for the Windows thing, right? And the Windows snapshot. We talked about that last
Windows
week.
Recall, yeah.
Go back and watch that one. What have I been up to? Always on the lookout for audio stuff.
Yes.
And Linux. That has been a big focus for mine because it's such a great vector to get people to come over to the Linux side because they got expensive hardware that just works. And, you get things like Windows 11 rolling out, or you get the new Mac, the ARM powered Macs, and all of a sudden their $12,000, $13,000 setup no longer works. And they're like, I don't want to get rid of this. So what do I do? And they start looking around for options. And that's when they run into your friendly neighborhood old man, Vin.
Yes.
Like, hey, guys, let's see, and they are motivated. And you're dealing with, especially with like recording engineers, because, hey, man, they like to figure stuff out. So Linux is not that big of a stretch for a lot of them, because they're recording engineers. Oh, I always keep an eye out for PCI Express sound cards. That sounds crazy in modern times because you get the USB DAC, you plug it in, and you're good to go. These people need more than that. I even need more than that. I have a PCI Express sound card. It's not even, we're stretching the term sound card here. More like a format converter. And traditionally, there's been two companies that have Linux drivers. They're Digigram and Audio Science. These are brands you never heard of. That's not a problem. I mean, this is pro stuff. Broadcast type stuff. And there's a newcomer, and also RME. Now I have an RME card, an AIO Pro, and the system right now that we're coming through. And I'd like an alternative to RME, mainly because the card I have, the guy who was responsible for developing the driver passed away, and nobody's picked that up, and it's been a couple of years.
Aww.
And I'm like, I would like a option B, or maybe, because RME's never had official Linux support, but they've been good. If you come to RME and you knock on their door and they're like, hey, man, can I take a look at the drivers and see how they work? And like, here, sign this NDA and figure it out. And they've been doing that since the 90s. Oh, they got a log. Right across these guys this is over on Interfacing Linux. It's in the forums. There's an also driver for a company called Marion, which is kind of neat. Also another German company. And they have an also driver for their Clara E. Not terribly interesting for a lot of us.
Nice.
Why is it not terribly interesting? Because it's Dante. You probably don't even know what Dante is. And again, I forget. If you think about it, it's like NetJack, but like 8 times the price, and it's proprietary. But they got a card and a driver for it, open source also driver. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's fascinating. And that made me look through their products. And again, this is a relatively new company. They have the Clara B and B Plus, which that has my attention because that is a lot like the AIO Pro that I have right now. It's got 2 in, 2 out for analog. It's got digital. It's got MIDI in and out, balanced XLR connectors. And they even have the DSP built in with a mixer and EQ. I'm like, oh, okay. And a word clock for external. And I'm like, but it doesn't have any Linux drivers. Oh, maybe me. I shot them an email. I'm like, hey, guys, how you doing? And I'm like, do you have any plans on like just rolling out this driver for the other? And they're like, yeah, we're going to get this for the entire product stack. Eventually. We don't have a timeline for it. But, that I take that as a bigger win because they already have a Linux driver, an also driver for one of their products. And even on the GitHub page, they're like, this is our foundation. We're going to see if we can keep pushing it out. So I was excited to see that more options for us to play around with for like really professional audio type stuff. So really excited. Now, let's go ahead and get into the Frameworking, a company where they are not scared to bring up the word Linux.
Yeah, absolutely. So the wonderful company Framework Computer has released a new version of their popular Framework 13-inch screen laptop. The new Framework Laptop 13 with Intel Core Ultra Series 1 processors. And this awesome company and the modular, sustainable, repairable, and upgradable Framework Laptop 13 has several new features available. And this is a big deal, including the new Intel Meteor Lake Core Ultra processors with Intel Arc dedicated GPUs, which also supports up to 96 gigabytes of DDR5 memory. Sweet. There's a new 13.5-inch matte finish display with a higher 2880 by 1920 resolution and 120 hertz refresh rate. And it has variable refresh rate support and better Linux support with the 2880 by 1920 resolution with a 2:1 display scaling. And for us Linux users, a special treat, a super key option in the place of the Windows logo when configuring an English International keyboard. And there's a new 9.2 megapixel front-facing webcam module with low noise microphones and lower prices for the AMD Ryzen 7000 and 13th Gen Intel editions of the laptops, which that's something Framework has been doing. They give their older models, they sell them at lower prices when they come out with newer ones. And that's a very nice trend I love to see. And also there are new configurations of the AMD Ryzen 740 series laptops that have the new display, webcam, and a higher capacity 61 watt hour battery. And what's cool is pre-orders are available now, starting at $1,099 for the pre-built and $899 for the DIY edition, with shipments starting this August. And also, it costs $449 for a motherboard that can be used to upgrade an existing system. Sweet on you, Framework. Sweet on you. This is awesome news. They're continuing to innovate and add new modules that are upgraded. That's exactly what we want from this company and these laptops. It's perfect.
The biggest takeaway from this is there's not one, but 4 colors to choose from.
Yes.
For the expansion slots. There was like Intel, all right, whatever. Oh, look, colors.
Yes.
SD expansion card. Yeah, that's neat. That's neat. That's playful. I like seeing stuff like that. Framework has been doing it good so far. And yeah, they bring up Linux several times in this announcement, because they know That we like stuff like this. We like the sustainability, the reusability of it, being able to take that motherboard.
Yeah.
Making another project with it.
Really. Oh, you could even make a Steam Deck with it. Yeah. It's awesome.
And it's going to be interesting to play around with, the new Intel APUs. See what they do, see what we can get up to. So good work. And they're reasonably priced too. Like very reasonably priced.
I mean, honestly, Van, you would think, when we initially started talking about Framework Computer, when they first started as a company, I was expecting to hear like numbers like $2,000, $3,000 for these systems.
I know.
And no, they're under $2,000. In fact, under $1,000.
$899 if you don't mind sticking them together. And like this stuff's like Legos, easy to stick together. And the reason a lot of us were thinking they were going to be $2,000-$3,000 because like Dell, HP, all the other manufacturers just said, dude, we'd love to make a modular laptop, but it would be $5,000 to make one.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, we just Framework looked at it. A bunch of kids get together and some people, and they're like, all right, it's going to be like $1,000. Yeah, it's going to be, we can make it thin too on top of everything else. These guys were just blowing smoke because they like gluing everything together because they can get a little bit more profit out of it. Good on you, Framework.
Yeah.
Keep up the job. That's cool, man. And like I said, I'm a huge fan of really genuinely taking the time and showing people like, hey, let's keep, because I like keeping stuff out of landfills. That's, be it audio stuff, be it the tech stuff, getting a second life for these things and making it that easy to repurpose a laptop motherboard in a reasonable way. Because I know a lot of us like repurpose laptop motherboards, but it was always this amalgam, like kill me invention thing that was like together and like, it's doing the thing. Just don't look at it. So good work. Fantastic times. Now, what do we got up next?
Ooh, something exciting Ben has been playing with.
Act now for the low price of $100. This is something I need to drive home to everybody. If you're listening to this right now, seriously. Now, we're talking about the HP Elite Desk 705 G4 Mini. Inside this little box is a Ryzen 5 2400G. All right, you can get one for like $100 right now. For $100. That means it's $10 less than if you just bought a 2400G CPU by itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Let that sink into your head right now. These things are artificially cheap right now. And that's just one of the things that makes this like a very special thing. 4 cores, it's hyper-threaded, so 8 threads, Vega integrated graphics. The one I got for $120 was like 8 gigs of RAM. It came with an NVMe, 250 gig NVMe. Good. Now, a lot of people have hit me up because I just asked in the video, I'm like, hey, why are these things so cheap? I've had more than one person say it's Windows 11, that their company are just dumping these. And it was from 2 different people at 2 different companies. They're tossing them out. That means the market is just flooded with them. And 4 years ago, this box was going to run you $700 for the base model.
Yeah.
I want you to think about that. $700 for the base model. And, typically even like a year ago before this flood kicked in, these things, the prices for about $280, $300 in this configuration used. That's what you're looking at. So why I say act now, because the second a Home Lab Media Center retro gaming YouTuber makes a video about these, they're gone. They're going to disappear. You're not going to be able to get them. And that price is going to go back up to where it was. You're going to be paying $280 to $300. Look at that. Putting Linux on it, not 5.2, but all right. Pretty good piece of kit. Pretty good. There's an entire write-up over at Interfacing Linux. I walk through all the fun things. I got nice pictures of like, this is what it looks like on the inside. This is how you get to the RAM. This is how you get to the fan. This is how you get to your NVMe drive. You got to replace the fan. The fan's going to die. The older versions of the Elite Desk, the fan used to cut off. These don't. That fan runs 24/7. And if you know anything about fans, fans die. When these little fans die, they don't quit spinning. They keep happily spinning, but they make ungodly noises. And you're like, oh no. And if you got one of these set up as a media center, or if you got it doing whatever task, you're not going to want to live with that. So I've tracked down everything. This is just me, man. Here's your part numbers for the RAM, the everything you need, the fan part numbers, links to it on Amazon. Link at the bottom of the article to the Amazon vendor that I bought one from, which I will say came very professionally wrapped with a return card and any problems like that. But I had questions about stuff like this. Like, how much power did these things actually draw? At idle, it's not too bad, man. Let me see. What did we get? About 12 watts at idle. Considering it's a 4-core, 8-thread, full-size x86 2400G, and at full tilt, 42 watts. So that's your electron vampirism. And, you know, the fan by itself, you shouldn't be able to hear it. That's what I say, because these things have probably been on. If you're getting them used like you are, you shouldn't be able to hear it at all. Like 36 dBA, just running at idle, and 50 at full tilt, which it's a little bit shouty. Of course, it plays 4K video. Can you use this as a digital audio workstation? Absolutely, you can. I tested it with a real DAW session. I ran Geekbench on it just because I wanted to see how long it would take for a YouTube comment to show up and be like, Geekbench isn't a real bit. I'm like, I know, but it's numbers. Let's play with it. And the whole point of all the benchmarks that I did is all of these seem to have come configured. It's not one vendor. There's several vendors. There's thousands of these on the market right now on eBay and Amazon. They all have 8 gigs of memory, which means they have 1 stick of memory RAM in them. You're only using single channel. Mm-hmm. It's Ryzen. You need to put a second stick in it because it is the cheapest, biggest performance upgrade that you can do for an AMD system, period. And here I'm showing it off, especially with graphics. You know Furmark, the fuzzy donut that spins around?
Yes.
We're talking about like in single channel, it can barely creak out like 11 FPS. That jumps up to 21. Okay? Like, now I did gaming benchmarks just to show. This is not something you really want to try to do like 3D gaming on. It'll crushionate any 2D game you throw out at Hollow Knight, you know, your platforming games, all your retro stuff. Because again, it's a 2400G full-size desktop GPU and CPU. But Shadow of the Tomb Raider went from like 22 at 720p to 32, like 10 FPS right there. Just stuck a stick of RAM in it. That's all I did. Same thing with like Dirt. Went from 80 to 112. $120. If you're thinking about getting one of these, it's about the size of 2.5 Raspberry Pis.
Yeah.
If you take like Raspberry Pis, stick them together, chop it out the 1.5, that's about the footprint. It's actually, you know, a Raspberry Pi in a case. You know, of course, it's a little bit bigger. It's heavy. It's got an external power brick. But this is what I ended up buying instead of Raspberry Pi 5. Mm-hmm. It is. Because it's just more.
Yeah.
It does more. And it costs less. Because after you get the Pi, you get a case, you get a cooler, you get a external power, you know, your power connector. You're about $11 more than I ended up paying for this. Oh, if you are like me, there's a performance metric in the video. You'll have to go watch the video if you want me to, because I don't want to say it out loud. It's called PPPITA, and it's a very important metric for this HP Elite desk. So if you're looking for doing this, go grab one. If not, don't get angry in like a month or two when you're like, yeah, I'm going to get one of these, and you do it and they're $300 again.
Yeah, $300.
But the street price, this is a temporary dip. If you just happen to be in the market for one, go ahead and grab one. I don't care where you get it from. I got an Amazon affiliate link on the page. If you want to do that, help out Old Man Ben, go for it. If not, have fun with it. Like I said, they're on eBay too. And everything works with Linux out of the box. All the sound works, all the Wi-Fi, it's Intel Wi-Fi chipset. Like it's 100%. There's no hiccups. Debian 12 installs out of the box on these things, people. If Debian 12 just runs out of the box, everything should run out of the box. Good to go. Oh.
Yay. Well, then, guess what I have here?
What?
Because of Old Man Vin.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and bought one a few weeks ago, and I grabbed the nearest USB flash drive with Linux on it and installed it. And it is ticking along just fine with Linux Mint 21.3. And I even bought an extra fan for it because that was a Ven recommendation, and I think it was a smart one. And I was able to play one of my favorite games, Stray, at 720p, 50 frames per second on it. So, yeah, it can play games.
It can play really games, nice. And, you know, it's a 2400G Vega, like, you know, realistic, you know, like it's, but there is option B, though. There is an option B, because these things were kitted out with like, the extra option, like when you go to buy a car, there's always that like crazy option. It's like, oh, do you want the spoiler with flamethrowers on the back? And I'm like, what? That's an option that I don't think many people sprung for. There was an option to put in this case a discrete GPU.
Yeah, I saw that.
That is an option that you got to plop that guy in, but you got to get rid of your power brick, because 65-watt power brick, all of a sudden you need a minimum 150-watt power brick.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe we'll play around with that in the future, maybe not. It depends on how this video does, what type of interest. If you want, go check it out on Interfacing Linux. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Give it a subscribe to the channel if you want. If not, that's cool. I'm not your boss.
Oh, very nice. I've been enjoying, I've been writing my show notes on this little guy too. It's another mini computer for my collection of hundreds of computers. It's
a mini computer. It is incredible value. It is silly overpowered for $100.
Yeah, it is. Oh, and mine had the extra HDMI on it.
You get you don't. Oh, you also got the ventilated top on yours too.
Yeah, I have the ventilated top, and it came with the SATA caddy and extra fan for SATA, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Like if you had, we'll get to that if we ever get to the discrete GPU, and like it's got the module on the back. You can swap that module out for DisplayPort, VGA.
Yeah, it's really nice.
There's one company I found that makes a 10 gig fiber port for it. But it's like $300. I'm like,
oh boy,
yeah, you can just keep that, buddy. I don't COM ports, all kind of stuff. Like it's again, like 4 years ago, this was a $700 mini PC. Which I look at these devices, and you look like a Nook. Nooks have always been fascinating, right? Because like this is nothing new. Intel's been doing this with Nooks for a long time. Making really high end, powerful PCs. But they've always been crazy expensive.
They
have, right? They were fast, but they weren't cheap. And, Raspberry Pi is comparatively cheap, but they're not all that fast. Like this thing's fast and cheap right now. Right now.
Yeah.
Act
right
now before supplies run out. Dial the number on the bottom of your screen, kids. All right. Coming up next, graphic design. We're going to keep this Debian train rolling. Here we go. Because we all know Debian 12 is absolutely, positively, without question, the best distribution created in the history of ever. Don't we? Absolutely, we all do.
It's one of the best. It's my favorite as well.
That's why it's got so many Debian babies running out there, like the Ubuntus and the Mints. They're all Debian based, and for good reason. Now, it turns out I'm not the only one aware of this. A gentleman by the name of David did a nice little write-up on how he does arts professionally using Debian 12. Now, he was originally using Fedorf, aka Fedora, the KDE spin, but he ended up having to nope it recently due to what he calls regressions. What are those regressions? Well, there's 3 of them. Wayland, and Wayland. Yes. Several things, because he has professional things that do professional stuff, like professional tablets, like Wacom tablets, and he needs to configure them very professionally. And universal command line interface that's called X at Wacom doesn't work anymore, not with Wayland. And to make that work with Wayland, each desktop manager is going to have to come up with their own config utility. And the same goes for color management utilities. Yes, spiders that you got to drop on your monitor to get your color calibration correct so it prints out right and your deliverables are all right. None of that works right under Wayland just yet. Krita. That's where he spends his time. Good to see. I love people that got a lot of love for Krita. It runs like butt on Wayland, and it's buggy. And you might have guessed it, has issues with color management on Wayland, which is unfortunate. Then David goes on to explain how he configures his desktop for professional pixel manipulation. It's pretty neat. And don't worry, his setup's way less psychotic than the ones that I use for professional audio on Debian. And it's good to see this, because he closes this out with a same thing I do. I have nothing against Wayland. I hope Wayland works out. But you can't just say everything works, hop over to it, because maybe a niche bit of us trying to do some, actual pro level work under Linux are like, our tools don't work yet. Hopefully they will. And he brings that up. You know, I don't have any hate for Wayland. David doesn't have any hate for Wayland, but it's not really serviceable right now compared to X11. So you're wondering why X11's still kicking around? This is a good example to drag out. You know, I spend my time in Reaper, DaVinci Resolve, OBS, GIMP. That means like I'm not messing around with Wayland and I'm not messing around with Pipewire because it's just like trying, you know, what about X Wayland? I'm like, why do I want to run my X11 app with a bunch of extra steps thrown into? What advantage? So this was a good read, especially for somebody who does the arting. Oh, look, I got one of those little guys. He'll plop it on the monitor. And again, if you're looking at that and you're like, what is that? Don't worry about it. That's display cal. And that's a piece of software I gotta have, man. And yeah. So I would take his setup even further because David is a fan of KDE. And I'm like, you know, we'll just get rid of KDE, install XFC. That way you don't have to worry about the pipe wires and all the other stuff. So yeah, it's good to see this work. And there's all of his arts. Pretty neat. I'll put a link in the show notes and go check this out. Here's something I've never played around with. FontForge, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. I have played around with that a bit.
This is a checklist of like stuff. And, you know, at the end of the day, this is what a workstation is. You know, it is something that has been set up for a particular task. You know, it's not a general purpose desktop PC. You know, I have two workstations in here. I have a digital audio workstation. This thing that's configured to do one thing. And I got Threadbooper. It's more multi-purpose, but it's set up to, you know, run the show. And outside of that, so he has a very valuable guide for setting this up for, you know, if you want to like maybe consider getting into Linux, experimenting with Linux, but you want to keep your thousands of dollars worth of equipment up and working.
Yeah.
There you go. So yeah, link in the show notes. It's under the video description. And he does bring Flatpak to the party, and where I'm like, no. See, I'm even a little more hardcore than that. But yeah, I love to see it. He's got everything up and running, you know, with Coretta and all of his big fancy Wacom stuff. So yeah.
Yeah,
you hear that,
really
Scott?
sweet.
You have no excuse. Go install Debian 12. And Scott's in the audience, and he has like one of those big tablets or monitor tablet things.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes you just need the stability of Debian to get the job done, right, Ben?
But sometimes you need a display manager that works with your hardware.
Yeah. Yeah, and I hear David's troubles with Critter on Wayland. I've run into that a bit myself, especially with the app image. But it has improved, but it's still there's still issues. There used to be issues with the menus and not being in the correct place. And, oh yeah, a lot of that was fixed though, but it's still problematic. I understand. And,
Linux is all about choice, and this is a choice to see. And yeah, like if it works, it works. It's a great workstation. Not broke, don't fix.
Yeah.
There you go.
And David, I like your kitty workstation at your desk as well. He has a cute little pet kitty cat there next to his workstation, and it has its own bed. It's so cute. I love kitties.
Nice. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this week. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us. We do this live every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern right here on Twitch. You can probably figure out the URL. It ends with Linux Gamecast. Get some notifications for that. We do have a YouTube channel. Some people watch that. That's Linux Gamecast. Webzone, linuxgamecast.com. Got a support button over there if you want to make us dollar heirs. Dollar heirs? Yeah, 10, 100 heirs
Dollary
maybe.
dues?
Yeah, a couple of dollary dues or something like that. If you want to become a patron, we got a bunch of bonus stuff we throw your way. Like the live and uncut version of this. If you can't make the live show, but you want that live experience, I'll put it in podcast format and video for you. And of course, an ad-free, hand-tailored and rendered version of the show. That's not on YouTube. If you don't like, I don't want to deal with YouTube and I don't want to deal with any place else, we'll have that up for download at patreon.com/Linux Gamecast. Do thank you for your support. And that's going to wrap it up for this week. And come check out more things over at on our Twitch channel. Jordan will be streaming tomorrow, and we'll be doing Trackmania on Friday, because we're doing the Summer of Speed 2008 edition. Everything's full speed for summer because it's officially summer now. And we're going to be rocking and rolling in that. So get your practice in and come hop in onto our super secret, ultra hidden Discord by linking your Twitch account or Patreon account, and that's where we'll be at the other 6 days of the week, Joe Bright.
Yeah.
All right. Time for credit music.
Time to thank our
And
wonderful
to press
patrons.
a credit button. Give me them credits. Click.
Yay! Thank you to our advisors, Omegas and Artherin. And our executive producers, Barbant, Scott M, Atomic, Mike G, our Chicago Kicks People level, Super Dust Out, Empty, Blasphemia, King Boige. Our Sea Monsters, Hakeem, David, Darkwing, System T, Mark, DS and Joe. Our Death Notes, 30 Dean, Back, Dodger, Rue, Turnover. And our chairlings, Christopher, Nubbin. Oh,
that's it. Just two of you guys.
Quick.
We need more. Come on, make it rain. All right,
we have
everybody.
so many awesome patrons. I can't say their names every week.
Get out there. Get up to something. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, you all.
What are these buttons? Hey. All right. What was your link about, Strider? Was it some pedantic edgelord BS? Looks like it.
Let me look.
It's got a www. That's not
it's
secure.
It's about Linux as a kernel.
Oh, is it like the well actually type stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's helpful. That's helpful for the community and new users, isn't it? that really gives people a good impression. Like that's the type of people I'm dealing with constantly. Constantly. So I did immediately ran into that. I got to start doing dumb YouTube comment bingo because hang on, let me get this transmogrified. Some of you might have watched Metalopocalypse back in the day, and that was it's safe to say the lead character, main character. And we were talking about Valve's Deadlock, and I'm like, I've been calling it Death Clock.
Yeah.
On the show for the past 2 weeks, just fun because it's so close. And naturally, we had the YouTube comment of like, well, actually, Deadlock is a whatever band from whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I know, dude. Like the video thumbnail was for people who watch the show. Dumbass. There's one on eBay that has a warning the hard drive might be missing. Well, it might be, dude.
Yeah, I was fortunate because I bought mine from a seller I bought a lot of computers from, and I got it for $75 on best offer. So that was cool.
If you click on the one I have linked on Interfacing Linux, it's from the guy I bought mine from, and it's a company that does refurbishing, recycle. Like, I mean, it came in a very professionally, like, form-sealed box with, like, the papers and everything, and, like, the little card of, like, hey, if there's ever a problem, do this. And it's Amazon. It was shipped from Amazon, so if there was a problem, I just send it back. So
yeah.
But you know what? Live your best life. Go buy some stuff on eBay. Correct? Keep your fingers crossed. Try to save that $5.
Yeah, I got this one because I had 16 gigs of RAM in it already. Then I didn't have to worry about it. It was already dual channel.
I'll tell you, Mike, because at the price they bought these for, the only way they can turn a profit is to put them into a box and put a price tag on them. Like taking it, spending time's money, man. Taking it apart, inspecting these things. Nope, can't turn a profit on them. No, that's where you get your mites from. Now, I get what you're going at. Like, hey, maybe it's more malicious than that. Yeah, just to assume it doesn't have it. You're going to replace the NVMe drive anyway. What's a NVMe drive cost these days? Like, what, $3? $4 if you want to get a good one?
It's about 40 to 50 for a 512 NVMe. I just bought a couple recently.
That's one of the things, because mine came with a Samsung drive, which they came with Samsung drives from HP.
Yeah, that's what mine is too inside.
I don't know. Like, you got to do some work to get the NVMe drive. You got to pull out, like, you got to take out 2 screws and take off the SSD cage. Then you can get the NVMe drive out. Yeah, I swapped mine out just because I had that, it was a 930 or 960 Evo that just didn't have I barely had used that drive. And I didn't even check. For all I know, like the Samsung drive might have had like a lot of writes to it. I didn't even check it. I'm like, whatever, I just swapped it out. But it was plenty fast. Again, it's a great little desktop PC. Like you just use it as a regular desktop. There's jets, sorry, that thing's faster than your laptop.
Yeah. That's a wonderful little piece of kit.
Hmm. Yeah, 4-pack. Oh, Elite Desk 800 G2 G3s. Yeah. Oh, you buy this stuff in bulk, man.
Yeah, you can buy like lots of 4 and 6.
Well, even before you get to that, like the sellers, like they make bids on pallets. That's how, you get like step one, like, okay, we got 150 pallets of these things, you don't know the company they came from or whatever, and we're going to sell these for like, put your bid on per pallet, and you don't get to inspect the pallet. You don't get to take stuff out and like check it out. You just got to like, hopefully like 90% of them work. And then you take that and like, that's what Pennywise used to do.
Yeah, I remember.
He worked for a company that did that, and like they'd get the stuff in, and he was the one who went through it and like sorted it out. Oh yeah, the Intel versions of these things are poop. That's why you see like, you can.
That's why they're cheaper.
Yeah, for $100, you can get like the little mini B PCs that I've seen some YouTubers talk about, like the N100 or N1000 CPU. That thing's an anemic tinker toy. Like that is like a little wheezy. Yeah, if you want something that's weak, like again, that's got a full size desktop, 2400G E in it. Like it's not like a laptop mobile part. It's full IHS. I popped that thing off and repasted it. I'm like, nope, that's just regular CPU, man. Go for it. Do it. Unless you don't need it, then don't. Don't buy stuff you don't need. Says somebody looking to buy stuff I don't need. I just can't think of anything I don't need right now that I want to buy. What do you want to buy right now, Steve? What do you think Steve would buy if I gave him 10 grand? What would he go? He had to spend it all on one thing.
Probably a set of books that he wanted years ago. I'm forgetting the writer. It was a science fiction collection of beautiful bound books, and they cost about the same price as our plasma TV. But right now, honestly, he might put it towards work we need to do on the house. Right now, I'm trying to figure out what I have. About 12 grand I'm going to spend probably on a really high-end shed I'm going to put in the backyard. Actually, it's going to be my studio.
Is that coming before or after the shelves?
The shelves got put to use in another location.
Yeah, I thought you said you decided not to do them, huh?
No, because I set up a couple more workstations behind me. And that's why.
All right, so we're no longer on Shelf Watch, everybody. Now we're on Shed Watch. So we're on...
Yeah, that is a thing.
Which is a lot newer.
Actually,
I think we're only about 2 years into Shed Watch.
Yeah, well, it requires a lot of time and my husband being off to prepare it.
Yeah, we got to keep track of it, though, Jill.
Yeah, I know. No, actually, I've already picked out the ones we want. We're each going to get our... A she shed and a he shed. That's what I call it. No, we had to get the backyard to the point where we could put sheds back there. So we're doing pretty good on that.
Strider, is that one of the new ones that was announced at Computex?
Oh, cool, DeCresney. Yay! Congratulations, Nemo.
Full scale bass guitar. Yeah. All right. Oh, what do I need to do the rest of this week?
Yeah, Nemo. I'm trying to think of when the first video you showed us on Linux Gamecast when you got a new place, like 10 years ago. So it was something a long time ago. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, you got to use like points of reference, right? You know, there's the whole thing about like banana for scale. As much as that's a joke, that's important. You know, to have it next to something. There's a reason I put the because I didn't have a good thing for scale, right? So if you look at that's the whole reason this screenshot exists, because I figure most people know about the size of a Raspberry Pi case, right? When you see that, you're like, okay, that's how big it is. Oh, yeah.
Oh, 4 years. Seems like longer. Oh, boy. But 4 years is a long time. Yeah.
All right, let's crack open the emails and see if the world exploded while we were doing the show, everybody. Hopefully not.
Ooh.
I know the Gmail is being slow. There it goes.
Oh, yeah, Left for Brad, yeah.
I
remember
yeah, Left 4 Dead's a big download.
Yeah. Especially back in that time.
Well, everyone forgets, like, you know, when you think about, like, Left 4 Dead, you're thinking, like, it's going to be, like, you know, 5 or maybe 7 gigs. And, like, dude, that's like a 15 gig download for some reason.
Yeah. It is.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe the new Valve game would be interesting. It just doesn't look like the type of game I'm interested in, but we'll play it. We'll find out. Not so functional camera. Yeah. Well, do I want to check? No, I don't want to check that. All right, I think I got everything together. Before we get any outside of DACA has been moving, you may get any fun plans for us the week? I'm trying to think what I want to get into. Yeah, I've never really played Overwatch. I launched Overwatch for a second, and like then Joe was like, "Hey, I saw you've launched Overwatch. You want to come play?" I'm like, "No,
no." Yeah, I've launched it to run benchmarks, but that's it.
It's not really my type of game, but I'll always try it. You know, I never get into Dota, never get into CS:GO. Just that game hook loop just never hooked me. But maybe it will. You know, I don't think I've played a hero shooter, though. Like, seriously, I've tried to play it. I mean, I'll try. Because, you know, it's a new Linux title from Valve, but... Yeah, Dota I could never get into. Tried Dota 2, the one that was Dota, but had a Linux client years before Steam came to Linux. I forget the name of it.
Oh, yeah, that. Yeah.
Yeah, I never get into like StarCraft. I've always been able to, I can appreciate watching people play StarCraft, especially like tournaments and stuff like that, but not me personally.
Yeah.
Like the last top 10, you know, I like RTS though. I do. Like, well, at least I did. I can't think of the last time I played an RTS. So maybe that's changed. Like right now, every game that I play is not Silksong. That's where my brain's at right now, and I have no control over this. My brain's like, it's a cool game, but it's not Silksong, is it? I'm like, no, it's not. We're still waiting on that, huh? It's like, yeah, we are. You're not going to give me some dopamine until we get Silksong. He's like, nope. I'm just sitting around waiting on that, man. I've been looking for like good 2D platformers or like third-person action-adventure RPG type stuff. Just haven't run into it. You gotta get that dopamine, man.
Yeah.
You don't want to play a game.
I've played Dota a little bit, because it's part of the same genre of like League of Legends. I've done a little bit of it, but it's not something I'm so interested in. But it's fun with friends, so I have done that. But I'm not into like first person shooters just because I don't see well and it doesn't. I'm not good at them.
Unless you like them.
Fun. Yeah, but I have fun playing them with friends. Like when we've
Serious Sam.
Yeah, Serious. I love Serious Sam. That one's on a different level because it's got a lot of humor and fun in it as well. And you're shooting monsters, So.
Before we shut down, Joe, give me a clap. Okay. Just to make sure. Thank you. That's just a little safety thing because I don't think the it'll be off with a different Kodak, but who knows?
Oh yeah,
right. True. That's to save me 2 seconds. Minecraft. Yeah, I never got into Minecraft. That never appealed to me. I tried it again. I'll try stuff. I know I'm perpetually optimistic. Even if it's like a genre that I don't like, I will try the game. I'm like, well, let's see. Because you never know. It might be the one that like sells you on it, right? I'm like, ooh, this one is... and there's definitely like genres of video games that you played like you've put up with just because like it was like related to something that you liked,
Yeah.
Not really my type of game, but I draw the line on things like that. Like I'm a huge fan of Nier. But there was like
Nier Automata is really fun.
There was a Nier mobile game. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I don't like that.
Oh, well, I got into Serious Sam because of LGC, and really enjoyed playing it with you, Ven, and then later played it with Jordan. We played through a few different campaigns and a few different versions, and that was a lot of fun. And I really like that one. I actually got halfway decent at that one because we were playing it a lot. But so that's my favorite first-person shooter. I mean, I do like Doom too. I did kind of get, when I was younger, memorize some of the maps, but I'm not as good with first-person games. So with first-person shooters, I should say. I love first-person puzzlers.
I like puzzle games, and exploration games. That's why I play Trackmania.
Yeah, exactly. We like our 3D platformers, and yeah, so that's my favorite genre. First-person puzzlers, adventure games, open-world puzzlers.
I like the open-world stuff. Like, I know, like, the 2 games I'm waiting on, like, right now to go on, like, a really good sale are the, Last of Us?
Oh, yeah.
That one and the New Horizon game. But, we talked about that on Linux Gamecast.
Yeah.
Quite simply as, games targeted towards older gamers, because like after the age of 35 the whole FOMO thing just kind of goes away. It just fizzles out.
Yeah, you
don't realize it until one day you're like, oh yeah, the new thing came out. Like, oh okay, I'll play it when I catch a good sale. There's no like need to get it day one, right?
Yeah. Well, I've been really loving, of course, playing Genshin Impact, and I think part of it is that because it's an open world game, there's so many types of gameplay. I mean, you can try and defeat a boss, or you can go on a puzzle adventure.
Yeah, it's a good open world.
Yeah, it's a wonderful open world, and I love that. And right now, I'm just finding items to increase my adventure level around the lands, and I'm enjoying doing that. And then sometimes I like to fight the monsters and the slimes. But that's the beauty of those games, is there's so many So many things you can do. So many ways to play it. You can play it like the way you like to play game, like what genre you want to play is included.
Doop-a-doo, doop-a-doo, doop-a-doo. Spam bot.
Spam, 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 spam,
Boom.
spam.
Block away. There you go. See, they got to waste time, too. They got to have a registered email and they got to be subscribed. Like, there's a couple of steps, like, you know, work went into creating that account and they can't even get a URL out. Like, aw.
Yeah.
Just nuke them from orbit.
Yeah.
We had, what was it, like, week before last, we were getting ready for Long Gamecast and we started streaming and we had 2 kids in chat and they were trying to maybe be happy, you know, just be a little edgelordy. And you got to remind the children, like, I've been streaming live for over 13 years.
Yeah. Doesn't phase us.
I've been doing this so long myself. I've seen it all. Like, whatever you got planned, whatever shenanigans you're going to get up to, I've already seen it. And I've 100% chance I've seen it done better. Oh, yeah. It's always wild. Cool. You know what? My capacitor still hasn't arrived, Joe.
Oh. Oh boy. Okay.
The one I need. Just the one
Yeah.
I need. Just that one. Still hasn't shown up. It's been over a week now.
Yeah,
And,
it's the Amazon package you've been waiting for.
I think I got it on eBay.
Oh, is that the eBay? Oh,
That's even
okay.
the Amazon stuff. No, I didn't. It wasn't. I got that directly from DigiKey.
Oh, okay.
DigiKey, man. DigiKey bags look like you're dealing drugs, kids. Like they show up individual parts and it's like, man, this looks like this is sketchy. But yeah, everything I need to rebuild the power supply except for that like one cheater capacitor. I don't know. Maybe it'll show up. I'm not going to buy another one and I'm not stressing about it because it was like $2, right? But still, that's one of those things. You know what? You say that, Scott, but my flux did arrive. My syringe of flux, because I'm being lazy, and I didn't want to do my own flux packing into a syringe. So when I did my DigiKey order, I overpaid so much that it hurt me for a squeezy syringe of flux, and it was like $12 too, or it might have been like $9, which is just astronomical because it's like an 18-cent syringe. With just somebody took the time to pack it with a flux. I was like, I don't feel like doing that. Here, I'll just get that. But you rarely need flux, despite what YouTubers. Oh, here you want to. Nobody clip this. If you know how to solder, you don't really need flux, unless you're working with surface mount. If you got a hot air workstation, you got flux. But if you're just doing regular soldering with soldering iron and you got flux, okay, I guess. If you want to watch an engineer solder, you're like, that's impossible. Go watch Ben Heck.
Yeah, Ben Heck is great.
You know, that's an actual trained engineer. Now, admittedly, does it hurt anything to just put mountains of flux all over everything to solder? No, it doesn't. Makes your life a lot easier, too. I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying flux is a nicety. It's like sunglasses outside on a bright day. You can get by without it. All right. Cool, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you in Discord. I'll be posting crazy stuff as I normally do. And Jordan will be back tomorrow. Revision 3. What's revision for 3?
That's where yeah, I missed revision 3. That's where Hack 5 was for years. That was the network they were on. It was one of the first video streaming networks of technology. And that's where Ben Heck came from. He was originally on there.
Interesting. All right, everybody. Bye-bye.